10 seconds remain. Dyer's turn to pick.
Behold the horn of
Ooh.
Magnus.
Wow. I mean, they pick it up early. I'm surprised because Beastmaster's left in the pool and SMG had first pick. They go for the Magnus instead. So we'll see if Motivate.Trust gets something like the Beastmaster here. It's left there. I don't think I've seen them play, but it has also been consistently banned. So we'll see if that's something Motivate.Trust wants to try. With a Magnus in the pool, this could also be a really good Rubik game if you don't just steal some spells. Instead, they go with the Abaddon here and straight into the Lion. So they've got that strong combo of supports, one hard dispel, one saving support to play with, and one support with really good control. SMG though have the Jug Mag combo. So they've got the Empower to play with to buff up the Jug's early farming, can really help out with the Omni Slash as well. You could maybe bypass the Battle Fury, but most cores still go for it even with the Magnus. It's looking really strong for the openers. It's just a question of where does SMG run the Magnus? Is this the KP hero? Is this the Nea hero mid? Is it perhaps like a Mushi or Afu's hero on the support roles? It's somewhat open, but it's also a bit of a question mark there.
Ten seconds. 5 seconds. Radiant's turn to ban.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it a couple of times now from SMG. He plays it really well. Plays with the aggression on the Blade Fear early on in lane very nicely, as long as he has a really good lane partner to kind of build off of that. So it's strong comfort picks for SMG with the Jug and the Mag, just making it simpler for the Jug. Really curious to see what else SMG builds on top of that. Again, I want to know if Nea is going to go for Ember. It looks like a really strong Ember game. I mean, you have to worry about Lion, and of course the hard dispel on the Abaddon, just saving anyone who's chained up. But you've got natural Empower with Ember. You get even more value with your Magnus pick. It might feel a bit greedy with Magnus on the off lane or on the support role though. But if you're looking for that strong Nade here, I think the Ember is much more preferable here over a Storm just because you have the Magnus.
Dyer's turn to ban. Dyer's turn to pick. Radiant's turn to pick.
Bristleback!
10 seconds remain. 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think we've seen it do really well if it does get a really massive start. We've also seen it fall flat if the game drags on too late. Like, it can survive for a long time, but the team needs to be able to play around that survivability, and the opposing team can always just ignore the Bristle in this case. You've got natural Silver Edge carrier in the Magnus. We have seen Mag kind of opt for that down the line. SMG to take out the Undying, so they've got some pretty strong area control now. Maybe not area control, but area denial with the Undying. They've got the Tombstone drop, they've got Decay on top of RP. That could be really potent. If you get a big RP on top, you can just drop them low super quick. And of course, the sustain from Undying is very nice as well. So it's building up for SMG. Motivate.Trust do go into the Storm for Fearless. 100%. 100%.
Ten seconds. 5 seconds.
Yeah. Looks Hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's still Bristleback, so 4 melees against Bristle actually sounds like a hell of a bad time in that way. You could also take something here for Jackie to run to have that range advantage against those heroes. Now, I don't think the Ember locks you into that too badly though. Like Sleight of Fist makes him kind of pseudo range, right? Like it's a melee attack, but you phase out and you can cast it from a fair distance. So you do get some spacing out with that spell at the least for the Ember. Still think it's a really good game for it. I think they're just considering that, like, all right, are we going to be screwed by 4 heroes melee? No, Ember it is. I mean, it's an AS special. Timings are good. It's just really good in this matchup. It's just superb with the Magnus as well.
It is Dire's ban. Ten seconds. It is Radiant's ban. It is Dire's ban. Radiant's turn to pick.
Oh yeah. Definitely that nice
10
spicy meat coming through.
seconds remain.
Interesting bans from Motivate.Trust. They do seem to expect this to be
5
the KP
seconds
off-lane
remain.
mag, so they're banning out the pause 4s here. We'll see how SMG closes out. There's still some of that flexibility to maybe run the Magnus as support, but it just feels too greedy. You probably just want that for KP, so the
Dire's
question is,
turn to pick.
what support do they take? They do go with a Rubik, so some pretty nice spells to steal, especially from the line. I think in this game, just target the line, take the Hex, take the Earth Spike, maybe even a Finger if you're fast enough. It gives you really good control on top of it, and Arcane Supremacy is always nice to have. But Motivate.Trust go into the Morphling, so now I guess that's one way to get a lot of that utility back your way as well. You can steal the Magnus form, get Skewer, get Empower. You can take Jug, spin around. It's really potent here. Even the Ember form is really nice, and you know, this is a Jackie special. There's nothing to naturally counter the Morphling here as well. No way of burning his mana down. No way of really silencing him down. That's one thing you lack here on SMG. Control is kind of missing. You only have Chains and Lift and RP. Otherwise, the Morphling is going to have a free time and just attribute shifting away. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it, you know, maybe a bit of a comb where, you know, just touch it up like that would look yeah, it definitely is too long. I guess it's time to give your barber that monthly visit. Still, speaking of predictions a while ago, Mike, this draft, I think it's going to be hard to call it, right? Like Ember versus Storm, that tends to be Ember favored nowadays, but Fearless can kind of work that out. SMG has some really good farm timings to hit with mid 1 and KP. The question is, will they take too much time to farm up? Because we know what Magnus needs. He needs Blink, he needs Echo Saber for the most part, maybe even the Shadow Blade down the line and a BKB. So that's a lot of farm KP is going to have to soak up before they maybe even commit that first RP if they don't find the opportunity. Whereas for Motivate.Trust, you're going to need some really good farm on Jackie and on Masaros as well. But there is some potential to play fast. You've got Lion, who, you know, once you hit 6, you're going to be looking for smoke opportunities. A Bristleback only really needs Hood of Defiance or Vanguard or both. And that is also a fair bit of farm, but it doesn't take too long for Bristle once you hit the levels up to feel tanky anyway. So there's some good back and forth in terms of timings, and we'll just have to see if SMG can just get that good farm rolling with her Mag, Jug, and Ember.
Absolutely. So I'll say it one final time before we officially have the game underway, but I apologize about the stream quality on Twitch. If you can't stream 1080, we do have the YouTube channel live right now as well. It is called Primal
Just
Raw
30 seconds now.
on YouTube, and if you look up the channel, you'll see a live stream with all the quality options. Apart from that, though, mid lane, John, mid one and Leona X staring each other down for a second. Eventually, a cheeky Undying comes in for some decay. Yeah, Mushi backs off.
Yeah, they've got some really good clump up potential here for SMG though. You don't want to force anything big with Mushi around, and MG.Trust are spacing themselves nicely enough to not give that Undying some opportunities.
Yeah, this is not a smart fight for MTG. Q, he ran in for an Earth Spike. Gets a bit of harassment out, but that'll be about it. It does seem like it's going to be a 3-for-1 trade, however, in terms of bounties. SMG able to get 3 for their own, and Masteros was only able to grab 1 on the Bristle. So it's going to be a bit of a net worth advantage to get things started for the side of Team SMG.
And they also get the D ward here from Mushi. He clears out that bot camp at the least, so he gets some additional gold, taking away the potential for blocking the pulls here for SMG. So it should be easier to stabilize the lane for mid one. He's on that jug, up against the Bristle. Not the prettiest lane, but mid one already has his magic stick up, so you are going to be at least getting back some burst regen on hand. Once you hit level 2 with a healing ward, you're a lot safer, and even Mushi can do a lot of work here. Masaros on the Bristle is a strength hero, so every single decay stack takes away the potency of your own presence in front in terms of trying to take some last hits, and this is not the easiest lane for the Bristleback to work out with.
Well, Q's doing the smart thing by pulling the creep wave away, but Mushi does an even smarter thing by pulling the large camp over to just kind of get the aggro on that creep wave. But now they're going to try and punish. The only problem being now all the creeps are on the large camp. So they're going to miss out just a little bit here. Masteros, he may be able to kind of double farm the large camp as well, but he did miss the small creep there. It is a bit hard at level 2 to secure the large camp like that. In the end, they still got quite a bit out of it, but I think you're happy if your SMG is Mushi. Is going to keep taking damage from Q, but it's eventually going to be able to back off. And with that, John, we should have a look at the mid lane, where Nia and Fearless are going to be up against each other. Looks like Fearless is trying to be as aggressive as possible early on. Nia, for now, not opting to go for any points in the chain yet, so he's just going to try and secure some CS.
Yeah, it's a stable farming lane for both sides. You're pulling slightly ahead for Fearless, so he's really working his right-click harassment with the overload a lot nicer. Of course, as the Ember, you can't really gap close well with stat remnant spam up, so Nia's just going to have to watch that spacing out, and does not quite have the bottle yet. You do have it on Fearless, so the Water Rune for now for Nia isn't the full value. Fearless is just going to have a little bit more presence with his. Still holding even. I think the major spike to watch out for is level 5 to 6. That's when the spells hit a lot harder for both sides.
Mid one, able to pick up first blood there on the Q. Looks like it was just a spin.
You're a loser.
Work out in the end. Mushi wasn't even around. He was going for a small camp pull at the time, so it was literally just a solo kill from mid one. Meanwhile, top lane, Leona X and Jackie get a little bit aggressive here onto KB and Fu, but I think SMG should be just fine in the off lane as well. In fact, right now, KP's actually kind of out CSing Jackie on the Morphling, so they have made it a rather tough time for this Morphling this game already. I suppose as the levels do go up, Jackie should be able to secure CS a little bit safer, but KP on the mag is going to be able to get quite a bit of denies off. Fu's going to be very annoying with the Fade Bolt.
Yeah, and there's a lot of strong combinations coming through for SMG. They've got Lift into Skewer Threaten. They can kind of pressure in that way. They've got really good damage with KP. And for the side of MTG, oh, Leona.
Oh, they messed that one up.
Close enough, but
miscommunication there.
Yeah, for the side of MTG, I think one thing they can do to counteract that Lift into Skewer that we saw try to be pulled off is the fact that, you know, with attribute shift and the heal coming out from Abaddon, you can just fully shift Agi and get back to full HP. So you're always going to have that option once Leona does level up the Mist Coil. For now, it is a tougher lane for Jackie. Just trying to sustain against that harassment is difficult. You're still finding equal farm, but you don't really want that. Like, the fact that KP's actually evening out that CS means that KP's timings into his boots, arcane boots, into his blink, into his echo saber is not going to be that long.
Oh, they got the large camp pull off here. Fu, get it off. I'm surprised Leona wasn't able to block that. That's a big loss there for MTG. It's going to be a big creep wave for KP underneath the T1 tower. They'll get the small camp anyway, but it's not going to be quite as effective. And Arfu's going to get another large camp pull off. Leona, he can't really intercept now because KP's there to protect it.
Yeah, and this is one thing with Abaddon support. Like in some matchups and some lane partnerships, it can work really well. With a Morphling, it's highly defensive. Like there's not much aggression you can do. It's very hard to contest these kinds of movements from a hero like the Rubik. So you're just forced to kind of allow them to sap away. And this is really good news for SMG. We said SMG had a greedier start in their lanes. They're working every single lane out quite nicely, and this just means that they're not going to face those issues mid-game where they might be just sitting back and farming. They're still going to meet some item spikes to help them have some presence around the map.
That was a really nice large camp pull from Leona now. This large camp proving to be very annoying for both teams. As it stands, still, how's mid lane going? Fearless top the CS board right now, 37 and 8. It's like Nia has not been able to really slow him down much on the Ember. Not quite yet anyway. I'm curious as well as to what Nia does go for in terms of itemization on that Ember. In fact, he's going to try for the chains now, but does not end up landing it on Fearless, and Masaros even TP'd in to give him a full bottle.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice move to just get that value onto Fearless, so he's not under as much pressure to contest the power runes at the 6-minute mark, and you already have the remnants out in Nia, so it can be a bit dicey for the Storm trying to close out. He does get lucky though. Regen for Fearless. It's going to be a very happy lad. Mushi not really able to harass too much out. You're also at the point here where Masaros is just clearing out some stacks. There are a lot of stacks in that triangle, so he's had a bit of a slower time down bot. It is a free lane for mid 1, but Masaros hasn't really died, and he still gets space to find some farms. So you're still going to need some item timings. You do worry about the Jug getting a bit too much here, as mid 1 is actually going for defusal. So I love this. We tend to see a lot of Jugs with Magnus still go battle free, but with a defusal up, mid 1's going to be able to fight that much earlier, and he doesn't need to really worry about battle fury time because KP will just empower him.
Yeah. We've seen this before as well, right? During TI, defusal gyrocopter,
Regeneration.
Defusal juggernaut. Just drain the mana of the bristle, and you'll have a lot less issues going on. Even up against the Morph and the Storm, it can be quite frustrating as, well, now to attribute shift, you do need mana. Arfu gonna get jumped on here. Fearless, nice rotation in. Arfu, he can hope to rely on the Ancients, but no. He won't be able to get it. Leona X, the one to take the kill. Fearless, he'll be able to just go back into the mid lane. He's still top of the CS board.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, he's just really working this aggression nicely. This is kind of what we expect to come out from Nea, but his own timings are feeling a bit off. The farm advantage you have here on Fearless is noticeable enough that he does have one small item up to play with. He's building into the Orchid. He's got the Rope of the Magi and the Sage's Mask, so a little bit more mana for those zips. And Nea doesn't even have a casual rate band, still waiting for the phase boot. So our Ember is not really free to roam yet, which is not ideal here for SMG. I think if you look at the state of the game in the other lanes, KP hits 6, has Arcane and Soul Ring up. You might be able to maybe get a quick and easy rotation out on the Ember, just force RP onto 1 and kind of try to build up true pickoffs.
Masaros, 55 HP, does get a nice stack off on the Ancient Camp. He's just got to be careful. Room handle waiting there. Hopefully Masaros does not forget about it. He won't. He knows. Still playing with fire though with that Ancient stack, but I think he should be just fine.
Yeah.
Top lane, Leona. Shockwave does connect KP. He'd love a skewer back. He might just get one now with the lift, and yet there it is, Leona. There's no way out of that one.
Hope for Radiant's
Now the
middle
group up
tower.
from SMG up at this top side. They want to go for the tier 1 top tower, and when you've got Nea around and when you've got the RP
Radiant's
up on
middle tower
KB,
is
there's not
under
too much
attack.
to be afraid about.
Dire
Now
should
you should be able
look
to
their
melt this
top
tower real fast, and
Dire's
MTG are not in
structures are
position to
fortified.
defend. This is the one thing you
Dire's
sacrifice
top
with a
tower
bristle
is in
back. Like
danger.
Masaros just wants to sit back and farm
Double
the same as his
damage
other two
empowers
cores.
me.
It's not a very active hero until a Vanguard, until a Hood of Defiance is up. You
Radiant
see
should
a
look
bit
to
of a
their
rotation
middle
up top though.
tower.
Looks like they might want to look for some punishment.
Yeah, I mean, Masaros can just stand here and defend for ages on this bristle. He's going to try and maybe harass him out a little bit on this Ember, but no, he won't even bother. Probably just not worth his time. Masteros will continue to chase down KP.
Radiant's
Meanwhile,
bottom
mid lane,
tower is under
Fearless,
attack.
he's going to be fine.
Radiant have fortified
KP,
their
he'll TP out
structures
as well.
against attack.
Masteros unable to get the kill, and
Radiant's bottom tower
everyone
is
just
in
kind
danger.
of TPing out. Now Mushi's being chased down by Leona. Meanwhile, mid lane, SMG,
There is little
they're going to
hope
get the
for
push down on the
Dire's
T1
middle
mid tower and try to
Radiant's
force the
bottom
rotations
tower
in.
is under attack.
Q's gonna be there. Spike out. Fearless. Not gonna vortex yet, but there's your hex out. On me. Was committed, but it's on the creep wave. Mid one does not kill anyone with it. Here comes Masteros on the bristle. It's like Mushi's gonna be targeted. They don't have the nasal goo, but they'll go after the tombstone. Mushi, he does not have soul rift to heal him up, so they will be able to take it down, but they'll get Leona X instead. They get the Abaddon kill. They do force everyone from Motivate to rotate into that mid lane.
That should help.
Now everyone just will disperse.
Yeah, it's a really good defense out from Motivate.Trust, SMG. They were lacking a couple of tools to really take and force a big fight there. And KP had to blow his RP TPing out from top because when he was trying to skewer away, he actually caught Masteros. So he wanted to just bail out, needed to blow the RP. It is a fairly long cooldown to have to expend just for a TP, and that just meant Motivate could get the defense off. Now they're going to look for a shove in. They're the ones eyeing mid now.
Fearless. Zip in, he found Mushi. Trying to get some D-wards off. But looks like Mushi probably just going to forfeit his life away here to Fearless. He'll try to buy it a bit of time.
You had your
eventually
warning.
the Storm will be able to take the kill. And well, Fearless is very close now to the Orchid, which is going to be a pretty big cause of concern for SMG. Meanwhile, the group up mid.
I refuse you.
Defend that mid tier 1 tower. KP has no RP available. Masteros is literally just going to turn his back and let the siege creep do the work. And it's working quite nicely, but here comes mid one with the rest of the team. Masteros going to be targeted. Skewer going to be off the mark. Masteros is still falling quite low, but not low enough. He's going to be okay.
No
Leona
life
X,
is
the one to
eternal.
drop first. Now Nia keeps going for more. He wants Q on the Lion. He's going to try and run, but the Earth Spike is out from Arfu.
Learn
Masteros, he's been purged up mid one. He's got the diffusal blade, and now the RP from KB.
Top tower is under
No
attack.
games here from the Magnus.
Should look
In
to their
SMG,
middle
they're
tower.
onto the mid tier 1 again. In fact, they're all TPing out. But mid 1, he'll be the only one
Dire's
to
middle
commit the
tower
TP
is
fully
under
as Nia will stick in the mid. Jackie's going to come back in on the Morphling.
Chained in searing heat.
Gets the chains out, Jackie. What can you do with this, Fearless? He's going to zip in, but the Remnant the other way now from Nia, and he's quite healthy. He should be just fine. As MTG can't lock him down long enough.
Look to their
And once
bottom
again,
tower.
MTG are back into that tier 1 mid
Structures are
tower.
fortified.
I suppose without the RP up, they feel a lot safer, but Jackie's gonna be careful.
is
They still
here.
have a lot of damage output. There's your lift up. KP, he could not get the skewer off. Q. Spike is there on the Ember. And now SMG group up.
There
These
is
mid tier
little
1
hope for
towers just not
Dire's
gonna last
middle
very
tower.
long between
Dire's
these two
middle
teams,
tower
apparently.
Is no more.
Yeah, they just constantly force the issue out. It's been really good for SMG though. They
Radiant
take a
should look to
6-2
their top
kill lead.
tower.
They start to invade the triangle and they can keep punishing Leona.
Leona's having a very tough time, still level 5. Just about to hit level 6, but he won't quite get there in time. And I've got to say, John, SMG, I mean, you talked about it during the pre-draft conversation. They weren't having a very good time throughout the qualifiers, but right now in the lower division, they are undefeated.
bounty,
And
which
at
may
least
lift you
during
up
this
to
game
prize.
1, they are looking very strong.
They definitely are. They're playing around their timings
Never
real well.
refuse
KP
gold
is
given.
not hesitating to just use RP as needed. Catches one, that's fine. Uses it to TP out safely, perfectly fine. Issue for Motivate.Trust,
Radiant's
offlane
middle
Bristle
tower has been denied.
just does not have teamfight presence outside of tanking up. Like for KP, he can set up with RP, he can threaten with Skewer, he can empower his Magnus. But for Masteros, all he does is soak damage and hopes to get some Quilt Spray stacks up. There's really not much
Dire's
AoE
top
control
is under
from
attack.
Motivate.Trust outside of a really good Earth Spike from Q. So there's a lot of pressure on the line here to set up in the 5v5s, and it's a lot harder for
Dire
Lion to
should
do that.
look to their
Like we've
top
seen
tower.
the patience from Afu on his
Dire
Rubik to
glyph
steal
is
out the
now
Earth Spike.
active.
And that's enough to make it very hard for the Lion to
Scanning
fully
for
commit
enemies.
without knowing where the Rubik is.
Double
So
damage.
it's really hard for Motivate.Trust to actually approach. And for SMG, they open up the map, they're gonna look for more, they're
Radiant's
grouping up
bottom
top.
tower is
Nea
under
does
attack.
have the Orb of Corrosion
Dire's
up
top
along
tower
with
is
Phase
under
Boots,
attack.
so he hits a lot harder. There's not even an Empower up on him yet, but once you start playing with that combo, right click start
Dire
hurting a
should
lot
look to
more.
their top
Saving up for the
tower.
quick Manta, and once you have the Manta, you're going to be protected from that Orchid. So they've
Dire's
got the
top
counter
tower
items to the
is
storm
under
timings here. And they're
Radiant's
just
bottom
finding
tower
everything
is
they'd
in
want.
danger.
There is a bit of a clump up from Motivate.Trust in that Radiant jungle, getting some safe farm out for all their cores. It's a very limited spot for all 3 cores to farm in though, so it's not as efficient compared to SMG's movement across the map.
No, it certainly isn't, John.
Radiant's
But
bottom
MTG,
tower
they're going to
is
try and
under
force
attack.
in this bottom tier 2 a little bit. Meanwhile, SMG still just kind of happy to bide their time and keep the farm up. How's mid one doing? He's very close to that Manta now, and Nia's going for the exact same thing. Just wanting to try and counter out the Orchid that is already there by Fearless. The Manta is going to be the item choice for both cores on SMG. Meanwhile, MTG, obviously for them, they are going to be heavily reliant on Jackie farming up the Morphling, but for now, you kind of want to see them make a play. Like, you've still got this Bristleback that you can abuse early on. But it's SMG that are the ones that are kind of initiating team fights here. In fact, they're going again, mid lane, Masaros, having his mana drained by mid one. Loses pretty much all of it. So there's about 200 left. Fu sticking around, Masaros gonna give him the nasal goo, but Nia, give him a sleight of fist back.
Dire's bottom tower is in danger. Dire have fortified their
You
structures
can already see as the
against
game goes
attack.
on, that Diffusal Blade from mid one is gonna be a real nuisance for
Dire's
Masaros.
bottom tower is
Like, he
under
has the
attack.
Soul Ring and he has the Wand, but at some point it is gonna get rather frustrating just having no mana in the middle of a team fight.
Dire's bottom tower is
Yeah,
in
it's
danger.
just not. It's not ideal for the
Dire's
Bristleback.
bottom
And
tower has fallen.
I know you're saying that you can play around Bristle right now. They really, I don't think they can. Like the threat of team fight coming through from SMG sticking his 5 is just too
Tower is in
strong. A
danger.
Bristle can't overcome all of the spells being thrown out. Can't overcome the decay stacks building up. Can't stop the Soul Rip from just
Radiant's
healing
middle
everyone up
tower
as well.
is
There's just
under attack.
much more for SMG to play with on hand. Whereas for Motivate.Trust, they need to keep farming. They need this E-Blade up on Jackie, they need a BKB up on Fearless, and even with a BKB, the threat of RP is still really big. So you take out the control from Chains and the lift, but KP, if he finds a good angle, can still lock in that Storm Spirit.
Masaros, he's gonna get pincered in here. He's in a pretty big awkward position. Shockwave, Masaros losing a lot of HP. Fearless gonna go onto KP. Tombstone has been dropped on. KP's just fine. He might just turn here. Leona. Borrowed time gonna be popped. KP still looking for the Storm. Not gonna be able to find him, but they'll take the Abaddon.
Oh.
I'll tell you, John, SMG, they're making it look easy right now. Motivate.Trust, they are still yet to find an answer.
Yeah, it's just they're not able to fight. They just need to stall out and farm. They pull out their core, so the only hero they've been losing is really Leona X, which is great. Just losing the Abaddon's not too bad, but Masaros.
Yeah, he's getting dived under the tier 2 tower. Now they need some help. Fearless gonna come in right onto Arfu with the silence out. We'll try to get rid of the Rubik, but he can't even get that. The heals are there. He does finally get him, but in the backside, the RP was committed. They lost Q already. Onto Jackie now, who's trying to take down KP. He will be able to get him, but mid one gets Masaros. So a very even kind of team fight. Both Pos 4s and offlaners going down. The MTG, they do defend that tier 2 mid tower. I suppose with the Ethereal Blade now up on Jackie, he can start to get involved in this Morphling. But it still feels like SMG are finding the better end of things.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones forcing the issue. It's Motivate.Trust on the defensive. And in general, that's not where you want to be as this team. You want to be the ones forcing SMG in awkward spots. It gives you more opportunities to cut them off, more opportunities to see your enemy make some mistakes. And for the most part, MTG can't force that out from SMG just yet. They are kind of keeping this game even though, despite being at a massive kill deficit at nearly 20 minutes and they're only about 2k behind. So they're keeping up in farm. Jackie's getting a ton of farm out. Masaros and Fearless are pretty even in terms of build up, and it's really KP that's playing behind for SMG. He's even going full utility on the Magnus, going for the Glimmer Cape instead. They do go for the Roche here though. And this one is something Motivate.Trust absolutely can't give away. They need to spot it out, but they don't really have the best vision around the pit.
No, I mean, they're right around there, but they do not know this is happening. Even with KP walking out of the Roshan pit, they still don't see it because there's no wards on the right side. Maybe now they do, but it's going to be too late. This mid one can just finish off the Roshan. He'll take the Aegis. And of course, Motivate.Trust probably going to have to back out of this jungle now as Jackie is going to be spotted mid one. We'll defuse him up. Instead, Leona going to be targeted, but a shockwave will not reach. But I suppose perhaps with that Aegis up, you get a bit more farm up, and then you can move into that mid tier 2 tower. Motivate.Trust, they're going to be forced to respond to this. I just don't know how they're going to respond.
It really relies on a couple things. Master is living long enough for everyone to come in, and Q working his blink dagger. Like, he's got the blink on the line that's flying out. So there's some opportunities now for Motivate.Trust to actually find the back line and maybe take care of the Undying or the Rubik. Heck, even the Ember, if you can catch him out with the Hex, would be a really good pick-off to start fights with. And they just need to play around that. It's all down to Q and onto Fearless to follow up. A really good scan here from SMG does at least give a signal out to Nea. He's not going to be caught out here, and he can just kind of bait out with his Manta style.
They're going to fall for it. Spike is out. Zip in. Oh, they'll realize it. They didn't really commit much. It's fine.
Top tower is under attack.
The top tier 2, though, is not going to be so fine. Still, Masteros is going to try and apply some pressure in the mid tier 2 tower, but he needs a creep wave.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Now, SMG, they can go high ground. If Motivate.Trust do not back off, mid one can just keep going with the siege creep. He's going to force the 2Ps back, it seems.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
There you go. There's one from Q, a second from Jackie. Can they kill the junk? Oh, we got a creep.
Oh, Q.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Bottom tower is under attack.
We've all done it. We have all done it. Fearless, he's going to zip in, look for KP. He will find the vortex. They do at least get something for their trouble.
So fine. Yeah, that ginger, didn't it?
Just a little bit unfortunate there on the Hex, though.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on the line. He's the one who really needs to start these fights for him. Didn't quite get it there, so SMG's going to be happy with that. It would have been pretty awkward anyway. Mid one has Aegis. KP was close enough that if they did fully commit, I think KP might have just ran in, RP'd, and tried to stall out ASAP for his jug, and could have ended the same way. He'd spin afterwards, and then the Magnus is the one to die. So maybe not too much loss there for Motivate.Trust and Theoreticals. Still opens up the map a bit more. They can start going a bit forward. There are some really good wards from SMG though, so they have seen all the movements out from Motivate.Trust. Need some D wards down. They do at least take the cliff ward. This ramp ward still going to be standing as it is outside of that sentry range. There's still a little bit of information there for SMG. They're farming up really well. Mid one's almost at the point where Scotty's going to be up. Once you have that, the strength shifting on the Morphling's not going to feel amazing. The sustain coming out from the Abaddon's not going to feel amazing. With a Scotty on a jug, you're also very close now to having a blink on KP. I say that, but it just means he's queuing it up. You are getting these tools on hand, and SMG, with the vision they have, are looking for a smoke play.
I don't blame them. They understand how strong they are right now, and MTG still do not have an answer, it seems. Mid one, he'll get started in the bot tier 2. Masaros going to be purged up again. They want to drain the mana straight away. Masaros, he's almost already out. Mushi with the tombstone going to slow him down. Mid one still going, and now Masaros is completely out of mana, but he will have a soul ring to use. Q will go for a Hex onto the jug. Earth Spike not going to be on target. And Masaros, Jackie, oh, he's been RP'd. They've got the Morphling, but the Aphotic Shield is going to save the day. Meanwhile, mid one, he's dropping low. He'll go for a spin. Fearless, he's in now. Onto the backside, but he's been caught out. He'll zip away.
Radiant's middle tower is under
They
attack.
kept going. Spike is there. They caught the jug. Mid one is somehow still alive, though. They did not take out the Aegis. He's finally going to go down to Mansaros.
Good, so
Neo and Mushi both already dying, so now Motivate.Trust, they can definitely keep going. They are a little bit low on mana, but Mansaros, he does not care. He's in. Mid one, gonna be targeted. No, he'll go after Leona. Jackie will keep focusing the junk, but again, the creep wave gonna come in. Still Jackie taking a fair bit of damage, but mid one, he is surrounded and should eventually go down. But KP trying to help out. It's just not gonna be enough. Mid one, still trying to run. Mansaros getting lifted up. Mid one, he's gonna be all right. Or is he Q? He's trying to have a look. Instead, they're gonna go after Arfu.
go.
A very prolonged kind of team fight. It's still going to lead to basically 3 kills on the side of SMG. Mid one, he lost the Aegis, but he does not lose his real life. And
Stupendous!
what looks like Motivate.Trust, they're starting to find their footing here in game number 1.
Yeah, I think it boiled down to one major factor there for SMG, where it went a bit wrong. Mid one, he managed to burn off all the mana of Masaros, but then he kept hitting the Bristleback. Like, once you take care of the Bristleback's mana, you have to look elsewhere. You need to burst the other heroes. The line has to go ASAP. This time around, Leona X lived through most of that fight, so he managed to get a lot of uses out of his Aphotic Shield and Mist Coil, which just pushed Motivate.Trust right over the edge and surviving. So you need to be able to kill off the supports as the Jug or any core. Ignore the Bristle. Like, you get full value from the Diffusal once you burn down his mana, but after that, the damage output of mid one doesn't feel amazing. Like, with Manta and 2 parts of the Ultimate Orb, it's nice, even with Empower, but it still feels sort of lacking. The Crimson Guard on Masaros actually really saving Motivate.Trust as well, building up that durability against the physical damage. So I think just some target shifting in the middle of the fight is going to be necessary. Like, once you take her, like, leaving a Bristleback alive with no mana, it's not a problem. Like, he does nothing. He's a melee creep that just runs around wanting some attention. That's exactly what SMG would want, and hopefully that's something they kind of tweak in the next fight.
Yona.
Zap!
And show up, Fearless.
Radiant's bottom
He'll be in that
tower
mid
is
lane
under
as well.
attack.
Mid one, gonna get started on the Abaddon. Q is there with the Hex up. Into the Ethereal Blade. Jackie might blow him up. The Glimmer Cape is there. They cannot get him.
Radiant's bottom tower
The Jug is gonna be
under
fine for now. Mid one is gonna be able to spin away. They don't have the damage output. And they did not have the detection either. Mushi, he will die. Earth Spike out from Arthur is gonna stop Masaros. Where was the dust?
I think it flew out. I think Fearless had it.
Okay.
Actually, I saw a dust fly, but it looked like they mistargeted afterwards. Maybe, again, target issues with the positioning of the camera, the angle there. They were hitting the Undying instead, and I think there was just miscommunication coming out from Motivate. They might have felt confident they had the kill, so they wanted to be efficient with that small window of control.
Radiant's bottom
Cost them in
tower
the
is
end.
under
Undying
attack.
is not the biggest kill for them.
Radiant
SMG again
structures are
scraping
fortified.
by the tips of their fingers there,
The
and just
Dire
managing to stay
on the
in.
hunt
11
for
to 9,
Radiant.
1k
Dire's
lead
top
now up for
tower is
MPG.
under attack.
They can start applying some
Radiant's
pressure on the
bottom
lanes. They've got
tower is
Lotus
no
Orb
more.
to save now on Masaros, so they can have even more
Dire's
frontline
middle
presence
tower is
on the
under
Morphling,
attack.
just putting that on him. Jackie saving up for his Scotty, so you're gonna have a Scotty versus Scotty on these cores. We need to see mid one get something else up. Like, he needs some damage. He's going for the Abyssal next. I'd say a Butterfly might feel really nice here, just to have some damage output. If not, Chuck's a strange one, because MKB is alright on him.
Dire's
It
middle
also
tower
feels like
is
a
under
bit of a
attack.
weird slot if there's no evasion, so maybe a Maelstrom into Mjolnir would be really good for mid one, actually. Just going into that, into more damage for the Omni, it just kind of lacks. He didn't manage to pop it there, though, so it wasn't a major issue in that fight. But Motivate.Trust, they smoke up again.
That they do. Hanging around that their side of the river.
Now over here!
Wanting to cross yet, Fearless. It's off the haste room bottled up. Leona gonna avoid the stun out from Arfu. I think SMG, it's almost like the tables have turned and SMG are the ones that don't really want to fight. Do have all the ultis up, so you might want to see a smoke soon from SMG.
Yeah, they're just waiting for that blink. KP just farms it up now, so it's flying in, and this is the moment where they need to smoke, get a good RP. Even onto 2 heroes is going to be enough. and just force the issue out. Motivate.Trust, they can play without worrying about cooldowns. They do have a fresh BKB here on Fearless. It's down to 8 seconds, of course, but that's long enough for the Storm to still have that great presence out, so you'll have to watch that. It's got the Kaya up, saving up for the Sanj next to have that added strength, added status resist, but there's that smoke on SMG.
Mid-one gonna move in first near. He'll show himself. They found Fearless. That's a massive target. The Storm is gone. Now the RP up, but it's only on Q. Still, they'll get the Lion and make sure that he won't be able to get those disables out, as now MTG have no way to fight and just need to run. Borrowed time gonna be popped out by Leona X, but the run of Atos is gonna fly in, and Leona X is gone. A triple kill out for Nia, and Roshan is up. I don't believe they've scouted it yet, but they should go have a look, and I'm sure Mid-one will be very happy with what he sees.
Yeah, just very well played from SMG. Motivate.Trust, I mean, they're kind of spaced out, so the RP is never big. It also means that the saving graces you have with the Dispels on your Abaddon, with the Lotus Orb on Monsteros, couldn't fly out to save Fearless. So very well played coming out from SMG. This time around, they're going to have Aegis, Cheese, and the Ag Shard. So we'll see who does get priority. It could be really good in mid-one, just to give that Blade Fury move speed and random damage, which is really strong. But you could also opt to maybe give it to KP as well. The Horn Toss can kind of help you with setup. It looks like they will just slide it through to mid-one, so faster movement in Blade Fury, then even harder to catch up the Jog when he does get that spell off, and we've seen Motivate.Trust kind of struggle with that. Not going to get any easier here. 2k lead now up for SMG, and Motivate.Trust have to be careful. They know there's no RP, but
Azeroth?
they have to fight against Aegis Cheese.
Azeroth's just kind of standing still, hoping nobody notices him in the Invis rune.
Dire's middle tower is under
KP.
attack.
Cape out, sentry down, they've got him. They've got the Magnus, but Fearless has been lifted up. He'll get the BKB off. There's your finger, KP, he's gone. On to R2 now. That'll be your Rubik dead as well. SMG not willing to fight. Without the full squad, just want to run now, but Ethereal Blade, nice man to dodge out from mid-one. To avoid the Ethereal, MTG, they may have to just kind of give up on this chase, but they already got 2 nice targets, and with that they can force the mid-tier 2 tower.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's a bit hard. I mean, SMG didn't have RP
Radiant's
up anyway on
middle
KP.
tower
Respawns
is
are fairly short, so you're not going to find much more here for Motivate.Trust, but they win a fight against Aegis Cheese. That's really big for the side of Motivate.Trust. They get to control that bot jungle a bit more, get their farm up and running. They already have the Scotty up on Jackie. They're just waiting for the Sanj on Fearless. Monsteros now is pretty much unkillable with the itemization that came out from SMG, like the damage output from Nea and from mid-one. Amazing. Yet they really need Empower on top of them in these fights to kind of get that damage flowing. Every single time KP dies without getting Empower on his cores, it feels lacking from SMG. So maybe a bit more caution due here from KP to just ensure he's around to get that damage upped on SMG's end, as without that Empower they can't itemize for damage at all. So they really need the Magnus around to buff them up. And Monsteros?
Skewer in, nice skewer there from KB. Masteros immediately targeted, but the Aphotic Shield does fly in to try and help out. He's still alive, still tanking. Mid-one still trying to get him down, but now the Ethereal's out. Jackie gonna keep him even more protected. They'll go on to Q instead. They want the Lion dead first. Q, he will eventually drop Leona now. He's getting quite low himself as SMG still moving in, but here comes Fearless from the backside onto KB, but it's not gonna be enough damage. There's way too much heals flying out, and Fearless, he has been bashed, and he will go down.
Middle tower is under attack.
Great team fight from SMG. They just got everything they could have asked for.
Dire's middle tower
There's no
has
buybacks
fallen.
for Motivate. They're going high ground now. SMG should be 1 racks down.
Yeah, they've still got RP here as well on KP. They popped the BKB on Fearless, it's down, and RP.
They got the big one. Jackie has no Aphotic Shield to protect, and they just burst it down.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Great setup there by KP on the mag, and well, Jackie has buyback, but he does not want to commit it
Dire's
like
middle
this.
barracks has fallen.
Has no teammates alive.
Dire's middle barracks has
And
fallen.
even when they are alive, John, I don't know if he really wants to commit it. He might just let 2 Raxes go down and
Dire's top tower
try to
is
go
low.
from there instead.
Dyer's
I mean,
top barracks are under
it's-
attack.
Oh,
It's
KP.
tough. Oh,
He's caught another Leona X being dragged in
Has fallen.
to the grasp onto SMG. Masaros trying to back off. Leona, he will not have that privilege. In fact, mid one, trying to take the life of Masaros. Q can't hold back because Nia is right in the backside and they've got another.
Is under attack.
Wow, SMG, just look at the coordination out, John. You see mid one going after Masaros, meanwhile Nia, he checks for Q, he makes sure the line can't break the gap and get the Hex off.
Is no more.
And now they're onto T4 towers. I think Motivate, they're gonna buy back and try to defend, but it's looking very rough for them.
Dyer's
As mid
middle
one still
tower
has the
is
Aegis.
no more.
And they have so much sustain. Mid one, he's gonna zip in onto Alpha, the backside. Mid one is gonna come in with the spin now, and the bash comes out fearless. He will be forced to zip away, but Q, he does not have zip available. Not on the Lion. As Jackie, he will die, or he will get the kill on Alpha.
What are you
So he
on
gets the
about?
Rubik. And SMG, they're gonna back on. Fearless now zipping in right through three of them, but the bash is there into the Abyssal Blade. They have got the Storm. Jackie, he is still trying. Mid one, playing around here, but he's getting really stunned up for quite a while. Leona now dropping quite low, but KP is going to be targeted. Jackie, he'll find another. Back on the mid one. The man fight is upon us. The Jug.
Battle Fury!
This is
Mid
the
one, which way do you go? Leona, he goes down. Another kill for the Jug. Onto Jackie again. Jackie is still trying to manage. Can't get big around Q. He'll get the job done. He'll interrupt. Now onto Arfu. They've got the Rubik down. He will glimmer cape, but it's not going to be good enough. Or is it?
Never
A
refuse
little
gold.
sneaky
given.
dupe there. Does get himself out. And now KP's back. They have the RP up.
Chained in
Earthspike is out.
searing
Now
heat.
Nia shows up with the sleight of fist and chains. Arfu, quite low, gets the lift onto Masaros, and the Arcana, the Psychic Headband, excuse me, does get him out into the Earthspike. That'll be it. So 2 racks is down, no T4 towers, but MTG are still going.
that they are. SMG just sort of forcing the issue there, not respecting the buybacks. Motivate.Trust managing to find some angles.
That's
Their
for me.
backs are against the wall now, though. Like, the moment they lose a fight, the high ground's going to be siege, and SMG is going to look to close the game out. They need to finish up this last item on Jackie. Looks like he's finishing up the Satanic here. And just go all in. Hope that your Morphling can overcome the Scotty. Hope that he can just stand and fight. The lucky bashes coming through from mid one has been changing the dynamic. Like, you can't just zip in for Fearless anymore. Once a Blade Fury's up with the Ag Shard, you're gonna melt to that free right-click attack damage, and you will just eventually get bashed at some point.
Uh-oh, Nia has been caught. Oh, the Imperial, though,
is
will get him. Fearless now, TP's into the outpost, onto Arfu, they'll find another. Imitate, not gonna save, Jackie has the damage. And Dota Plus was saying that there was over a 90% chance that SMG would win. But you never really count Motivate.Trust out. They've done this many times before. In fact, there's 2 heroes down with that buyback right now, John. So you never know what they could do.
Oh yeah. They're gonna try to force it. They have to respect the RP coming through. There is an RP and Omni ready to go from KP and mid one.
Gonna go in with a spin. Jackie will spin himself. Bit of a Beyblade action here between these two. Mid one. Will move in again onto Leona. No, they put the Hex off. They've got the Jug. Mid one. He's gone. KP could not save him. He'll buy back for KP. He's gonna drop without buyback. Oh no, what have they done? In they
my
go,
God.
Jackie. He smells blood on the water. He's under the tier 4 towers. And how do you stop this? It's 2 versus 5. They've got 15 seconds for Arthur and Nia, but they've got to buy the timeout. And even without KP, I'm not sure if they can fight this. Masteros, he's going to front line now. The Hex out. Fearless gets the Orchid. Back to the tier 4 towers, boys. Ancient should be exposed very soon, but here come the respawns. Jackie, he's been bashed up. Mid one, gonna move in. Leonex trying to save him. The Ancient's still under siege, but mid one is trying to fight. Jackie fighting back. There's no damage flying out now. Jackie's out of mana. This is looking really bad, but the Ancient is still falling. Motivate.Trust. They're gonna keep focusing it down. They've got it. The comeback heroes, they get it. They get it done again. You can't count these guys out. They've done it too many times now, John. We can't doubt them anymore.